So dear students, in the last class we were discussing regarding the stomatal apparatus structure. So the stomatal apparatus, as we have discussed, it is made up of a two kidney shaped guard cell. These guard cells, they show an unequal thickening, and the guard shell, it is in a kidney shape or it is in a bean shape, and the guard cell, it contains large number of chloroplasts within it. So these are the epidermal cells. The guard cells are the epidermal cells which consist of a chloroplast, whereas the other rest cells, they lack the chloroplast. Next, in between the guard cell there is a opening called as stomatal pore. Now, what is the function of the stomatal pore? It mainly helps in transpiration, that is the loss of water in the form of vapors. Now this guard cell, it is surrounded by a specialized cells called as subsidiary cells. So the subsidiary cells are the modified epidermal cells which surrounds the guard cell. So they are subsidiary cells anta heltivi adana. Next, whatever the pore is there, this pore, it opens during the daytime and it closes during the night time. The mechanism of stomatal pore, it opens and closes. It will be not always open. It will be open and it closes. How this opening and closing of the stomatal pore takes place? It takes place with the mechanism of the guard cell which is taking place inside the guard cell. So there are different theories to explain the mechanism of opening stomatal pore and closing of stomatal pore. In that, the K plus pump theory is there. So the stomatal pore, remember, it is not always open. It opens and it closes with the functioning of the guard cell. So when the guard cells are in turgid condition, it opens. When the guard cells are in flaccid condition, it closes. What is this turgid, flaccid? We will discuss in the next chapter. Next, now the stomatal apparatus, whatever the guard cell it is there, it is kidney shape or bean shaped in dicots, whereas in case of monocots, in monocot plants, the shape of the guard cell, it is dumbbell shape. The shape of the guard cell, it is dumbbell shape. This is the shape of the guard cell, where in case of monocot. So this is the guard cell. So the shape of the guard cell in the monocot, it is dumbbell shape, whereas the shape of the guard cell in dicot, it is kidney shape, or you can also say it as bean shaped. So this is about the guard cell. Next, we will discuss with the second type of tissue. So we have completed with the tissue system, that is the epidermal tissue system we have completed. So we have discussed, it may be single layer or it may be multi-layered. It is outer surrounded by a waxy cuticle layer. Then the main function of the epidermal cell is it helps in protection. It is outermost layer, and there is no intercellular space in between this barrel shaped parenchyma cells. And certain epidermal cells, they are modified into the root hairs. In case of root, unicellular it is, whereas in case of stem, it is multicellular stem hairs or trichome. Next, in case of leaf, there are two epidermis, upper and lower epidermis. So this, whatever the stomatal apparatus we have discussed, so the stomatal apparatus, it is widely distributed in the leaf region. So it is distributed in both upper and lower epidermis of a leaf. So the main function of the stomatal apparatus is it helps in transpiration, that is the loss of water in the form of water vapors through a specialized structure called as stomata. So that is about the transpiration. So now we are going to discuss with another type of tissue, that is the ground tissue. We have discussed first epidermal tissue, next comes the ground tissue, and the third last is vascular tissue. So what is this ground tissue made up of? The ground tissue is a tissue which is present in between, epidermis and vascular tissue. Where this tissue is present, ground tissue, it is present between epidermis and vascular tissue. Now let us consider this as an epidermis. Now let us consider this as a vascular tissue. This is a epidermal tissue. Whatever the in between the epidermal tissue and vascular tissue, this tissue is regarded as the ground tissue. It is regarded as ground tissue. So now what is this ground tissue made up of? The ground tissue, it consists of different types of cells. It is not made up of particular type of cells. It is made up of, either it may be made up of collenchyma, it may be made up of sclerenchyma, or even it may be made up of parenchyma tissue. So either we can see a collenchyma, we can see a sclerenchyma, or we can see a parenchyma of tissue in a ground tissue. Now, the ground tissue, it is again differentiated into, in case of stem, it is mainly differentiated into hypodermis, next endodermis, hypodermis, as well as ground tissue. So these are the different regions that is mainly seen in dicot stem. It is mainly seen in where? It is seen in dicot stem. So while discussing with the dicot stem, I will show the hypodermal region, epidermis, as well as the in between epidermis and in between hypodermis and endodermis, we will see the ground tissue. So that we will discuss while discussing with the dicot stem. Now this hypodermis is a region which is below the epidermal region. The hypodermis is a region which is present below the epidermal region. So now this ground tissue, if it is made up of collenchyma cell, there is a deposition of the, it provides mainly the rigidity, as it gives a mechanical support. If it is made up of sclerenchyma, it is a dead tissue, but even it will provide a mechanical support. Now in case of leaf, I said there are two epidermis, upper and lower epidermis. Now in between these two upper and lower epidermis, now entire this region we will call it as a ground tissue. So in between the two epidermis, we will call this as a ground tissue, and here this ground tissue, it is referred as mesophyll region. What it is referred as? Mesophyll region. So the mesophyll region is a region in leaf. We are discussing with the leaf, anatomy of leaf. When we will study with the anatomy of leaf, you have to remember the leaf, it is made up of two epidermis, upper and lower epidermis. In between the upper and lower epidermis, the entire this region is considered, or it is regarded as mesophyll region, or you can also say it as mesophyll tissue. Instead of ground tissue, we will term it as mesophyll tissue. So this is about the ground tissue. So next we'll move on with the very important, that is vascular tissue. So the vascular tissue is a tissue which mainly helps in conduction of food and water in plants. It helps, vascular tissue is a tissue which mainly helps in conduction or transportation, or you can also say translocation of food and water. So this vascular tissue or vascular bundle antelle bandre, it consists of two tissue. The food conducting tissue is phloem and the water conducting tissue is xylem. So hence the vascular tissue, it is mainly consists of two important tissue. One is xylem and the another one is phloem. Xylem and phloem. Now based on the arrangement of the xylem and phloem in the vascular tissue, it is classified into different categories. Now the vascular tissue, it is mainly seen in stellar region or the stele anta antivi. The stele, it is a region, the center region. If I take this is a section of root or stem, the center part is called as stele. The center part is called as stele. Now this stellar region, it consists of vascular tissue. The stellar region or the stele region, it consists of vascular tissue. Now the mode of arrangement of this vascular tissue, that is xylem and phloem. Now there are three regions in the vascular tissue or in the stellar region. The outermost layer of the stellar region, and then avagle helide stellar region andre enu, center region. The outermost region of the stellar is pericycle, next vascular bundles, or you can say xylem and phloem, and the last third one is pith region. So these are the main three regions which is seen in stellar. ಈ ಸೆಂಟರ್ ರೀಜನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ಟೀಲರ್ ರೀಜನ್ ಅಂದ್ವಲ್ಲ, ಆ ಸ್ಟೀಲರ್ ರೀಜನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮೂರು ರೀಜನ್ಸ್ ನೋಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಔಟರ್ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಲೇಯರ್ ಆಫ್ ಸ್ಟೀಲ್ ಇಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಅಸ್ ಪೆರಿಸೈಕಲ್, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಬರೋದು ವ್ಯಾಸ್ಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ಬಂಡಲ್, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಈ ಸೆಂಟರ್ ರೀಜನ್ ಬರೋದು ಪಿತ್ ರೀಜನ್. ಸೊ ಹೆನ್ಸ್ ದೀಸ್ ಆರ್ ದ ತ್ರೀ ರೀಜನ್ಸ್. Now first we'll take up with the mode of arrangement of vascular tissue. Mode of arrangement of vascular tissue. Now there are two words. One is conjoint and the another one is radial. Conjoint and radial. What is this conjoint? What is this radial antandre? The conjoint word is a word. This is, let us consider this as a stellar region, center region of a root. In the stellar region, if the xylem and phloem, if it is present in the same radii, ಈಗ ಇದನ್ನು ಸರ್ಕಲ್ ಅಂತ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ಮಾಡಿದರೆ ಸೆಂಟರ್ ಇಂದ ಸರ್ಕಂಫರೆನ್ಸ್ ವರೆಗೂ ನಾವು ಏನಂತೀವಿ, ರೇಡಿಯಸ್ ಅಂತ ಅಂತೀವಿ. ಫ್ರಮ್ ಸೆಂಟರ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಟು ದ ಸರ್ಕಂಫರೆನ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಅ ಸರ್ಕಲ್ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ರಿಗಾರ್ಡೆಡ್ ಆಸ್ ರೇಡಿಯಸ್. ನೌ ಸಿ, now let us consider this as one vascular bundle. Vascular bundle andre ನೆನಪಿಟ್ಕೋಬಿಡಬೇಕು, it is xylem and phloem. Now see, here there is a xylem tissue and here there is a phloem tissue. Now if the xylem and phloem is present in the same radii, ಒಂದೇ radii ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಇದೆ, then that type is called as conjoint. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತಾ? What is conjoint means, if the xylem and phloem it is present in a same radii, or if it is present together ಒಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಇದ್ರೆ, if the xylem and phloem are present in same radii, or you can say at if they are present or together, then it is called as conjoint type of a vascular bundle. Conjoint type of vascular bundle. Whereas what is this radial type of vascular bundle andre, the same stellar region, but what happens here antandre, now this is xylem and this is phloem. Xylem, phloem ಈ ತರ ಕಾನ್ಸೆಂಟ್ರಿಕ್ ಆಗಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ, ಇದೇ ರೇಡಿಯೈ ಬೇರೆ, ಇದೇ ಬೇರೆ, ಇದೇ ಬೇರೆ. If this is a case, then that type is called as radial. So what is radial antandre, the xylem and phloem are present in different radii. If it is present in different radii, then it is called as radial. If it is present in same radii, they, or if it is present together, ಒಂದೇ ರೇಡಿಯಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಎರಡು ಇದೆ, ಒಂದು ಕೆಳಗಿದೆ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಮೇಲಿದೆ, ಈ ತರ ಇದ್ರೆ conjoint means they are together. That word meaning itself, it gives the xylem and phloem tissue, vascular tissue, it is present together. Next, there is another one word called as collateral. Conjoint collateral. What is this collateral? Means if, now let us consider stellar region. Stellar region idu full stem alla, center part of the stem or root, stellar region we have taken. The xylem is towards the center and phloem is away from the center. ನಾನು ಆರೋ ಮಾರ್ಕ್ ಬರ್ದಿದ್ದೀನಿ ನೋಡಿ. xylem ಯಾವ ಕಡೆ ಇದೆ? ಟುವರ್ಡ್ಸ್ ದ ಸೆಂಟರ್ ಇದೆ. phloem ಯಾವ ಕಡೆ ಇದೆ? away from the center, or it is towards the pericycle. That type is called as collateral. So collateral, it is a type where the xylem is towards the center and phloem away from the center. Away from the center anta helbodu, ಅಥವಾ you can also term it as towards the periphery. Towards the periphery. So it is one and the same. So this is the word conjoint type of vascular bundle, radial type of vascular bundle, as well as collateral type of vascular bundle. So in dicot stem we will see conjoint and collateral. Conjoint andre the same, the xylem phloem, it is present together. Then what is collateral? The xylem is towards the center and phloem is away from the center. That type is called as collateral. Radial antandre, radial type, you remember, the radial type, it is mainly seen in root. Conjoint, it is mainly seen in stem. The radial, it is mainly seen in root anatomy. Anatomy of root. See, if you understand this meaning of this particular terminologies, then it will be very easy to understand the entire anatomy of dicostem or root or even the leaf. So you must be very clear with this concept, basic concept, then it will be very easy. Next, in the last class I have discussed, while discussing with the xylem, I have discussed with two words. One is endarch, another one is exarch. So word endarch, exarch, wherever you come across with this word, you have to remember the protoxylem and metaxylem. Protoxylem and metaxylem. So the word exarch and endarch, it is completely related with the xylem tissue. It is not related anything with the phloem. It is related to which tissue? It is related with the xylem tissue. So in the xylem, it is divided into two types. One is protoxylem, which is first formed, whereas metaxylem is a xylem which is formed later. So the protoxylem are the smaller vessels. The later formed xylem, they are called as metaxylem. So this is a metaxylem, whereas this one is a protoxylem. So first form. If the protoxylem, now let us consider this as the anatomy. Now this, let us consider this as center point, which is called as pith. Now if towards the pith the protoxylem is there and towards the periphery or towards the pericycle, or you can say to away from the center, if the metaxylem is there, this condition is called as endarch. ಇದನ್ನ ಏನಂತೀವಿ? ಎಂಡಾರ್ಕ್. ಅದೇ ತರ ಎಕ್ಸಾರ್ಕ್ ಬರಿತೀನಿ ನೋಡಿ. Reverse, where the metaxylem is towards the center and protoxylem is away from the center, then this type is called as exarch. So endarch and exarch. So usually the endarch, it is seen in stem, whereas exarch type of a condition, it is exhibited in root. it is exhibited in root. Endarch it is seen in stem, whereas exarch it is seen in the root. So this is about the brief introduction about the tissues, that is the epidermal tissue. Next is ground tissue, as well as we have discussed with the vascular tissue. So in the next class we are going to discuss with the anatomy of the stem, that is in stem it is differentiated into two types. One is monocot stem and dicot stem. Again the anatomy of root, again there are two types, that is anatomy of dicot root, anatomy of monocot root. Then in leaf also there are two types, anatomy of dicot leaf and anatomy of monocot leaf. So that we are going to discuss in the next class.